What's up, everybody? Tanner here, a part of the All You Can Hear podcast, and this is our Winter 2019 anime review non-canon file coming to you live. I am one of your 5 co-hosts, Tanner, as I already said, and with me, as per usual, I have
Colt,
Wenzel,
Cody,
Preponderant Pat.
What does that mean?
It means predominant in influence, number, or power.
Holy shit, Shadow Clone Jutsu.
Oh, great, go-karts.
Oh my god.
yeah, that was a little go-kart Mario.
Literally, a little kid just threw a turtle at somebody.
Wild.
Actually, that's a terrapin.
Shut the fuck up.
Patrick, we don't need you just making up animals on the spot.
Pat ate a dictionary or thesaurus today.
I mean, he's right.
Did you say
I don't give a fuck.
Wait, did you say a thesaurus?
Yes, it's like a tyrannosaurus.
Cody's right too.
Just made of words.
Okay. And today, if you couldn't tell by my intro, we are talking about some, not all, because there's a lot, but a lot of the Winter 2019 anime
Sopranos.
lineup. And we'll be talking... no, actually, fuck y'all. We're talking about The Sopranos. So, what's up with Tony and the Ducks, huh? Nobody else has seen it.
My dad watched it.
That seems like a thing your dad would watch.
So, Patrick, because Patrick is our local anime synopsis. That's the only reason he's on the show.
Yeah.
Is to do these once a
I'm
quarter.
very good at condensing things.
Yeah, so
both topics and people.
Yeah, he's part-time.
Oh my god.
So, Patrick, why don't you tell us what anime we will be talking about first?
We have picked 7 anime series to watch this season, and we'll be discussing this episode: Boogiepop and Others, Mob Psycho 100 Season 2, Promised Neverland, My Roommate is a Cat, The Rising of the Shield Hero, Magical Girl Spec-Ops Asuka, and Dororo.
Yeah, so...
Straight out the gate, strongest season of anime we have personally done on this.
Oh,
this
yeah.
podcast.
This
Even
is,
though we
yeah.
say that every anime show, we mean it this time.
No, they're topping themselves. I know we try to stay away usually from season 2s, but Mob Psycho 100 was too big to exclude.
And they're kind of pushing it as its own new thing. And
Yeah.
honestly, with as much difference in like style, we'll get to that in a minute, that it has in this season versus last season, it definitely deserves its own little spot.
Yeah.
But I will say that last season when we did the fall anime, I had one anime that I continually watch after we did that. I only had one out of the set. Nearly every single anime except for one on this list are things that I'm watching on a regular basis now.
Yeah, I think, because usually for these episodes, we watch the first episode, we come and talk about it. I've already watched the second episode of 4 of these shows.
Yeah, and I've watched the 3rd and 4th episode of several of the ones that have come out earlier in the month as well.
So, I mean, truly a stacked set of anime. And we should say, if this is your first time ever listening to one of our anime review episodes, we will be going pretty in-depth on just the first episode, only for all these series, but there will be no manga spoilers, no future spoilers for episodes 2 or 3 or 4, however far we've watched or however many are out. This will just be first episode spoilers, trying to getting you in to, dipping your toes in the water, and you're like, hey, that sounds pretty cool. You can go watch it.
Yep.
So.
And for the episodes that we did see more than one episodes on, we're not going to give anything away, but we will say that if the content continued, in quality, content continued in quality,
exactly.
CCC,
the 3 C's. So Pat, which anime are we talking about first today?
I think we'll just go down the list. What I mentioned, we'll start with Boogiepop and Others.
If you can't tell, he's pulled a book out of his pocket. He's like a detective.
It's very Animal Crossing
He has
style.
a monocle.
He pulled it straight out of his pocket, and the book is about half the size of Pat.
He's a stopwatch.
Yeah. So we can only talk about each anime for 12 minutes. So my first thought of Boogiepop was... I should mention, I knew nothing about any of these anime besides Mob Psycho going in. Boogiepop, to me, sounds very happy-go-lucky. Just by the name Boogiepop, it sounds very happy-go-lucky, lots of colors, bright lights.
very deceiving.
Name just, doesn't...
And a little bit of background information about Boogiepop. This is actually the latest adaptation of the Boogiepop series. It started off as a series of light novels in Japan, and it's actually credited with kind of like kick-starting like the light novel trend.
Huh.
It's sort of like like a short novel with sort of interspaced with like illustrations throughout.
What year? Are we talking about like pre 2000s or?
It's like 90s.
Yeah, I would say the 90s.
Because the first anime was in 2000.
The very first anime ever actually started.
No, for Boogie Pop, the first Boogie Pop anime.
I know what you meant there. Just the first anime was in 2000.
Yeah, and
I
it
was
started with your favorite Naruto.
I was like, hell yeah.
And this adaptation is animated by the very famous Madhouse Studio, the one that did the if you remember the animated sequence in the Kill Bill movie.
Oh wow, did not know that.
What?
And
They also did. What's the anime from a few years ago that we really liked with the old man who's actually a robot or who got turned into a robot?
Inuyashiki?
Yeah. Didn't they create this as
I
well?
don't think so.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But the basis of the Boogie Pop series centers around Shinju High School and the story of a spirit known as a Shinigami or death spirit. As sort of like an urban legend told amongst the students there that the spirit will come and steal away young girls while they're still beautiful. And the way this adaptation starts, it begins with a young male student who's waiting in the city for his blind date to appear, and that sort of kickstarts the plot when he sees his date, but she's wearing a very usual outfit, and she's speaking with a man that no one else can see.
Yes, and she is a wildly crazy one of those animes that when you just jump into it, it feels like you've missed 6 episodes of the anime.
Yeah, I felt that watching episode 1.
Yeah.
I'm like, huh.
I feel like I immediately had to bite my tongue to not go and get on Wikipedia and look at
And
like,
read manga spoilers. Yeah,
Because if somebody, if you don't know, Boogie Pop, the way it's set up is it's every episode is cut into chunks where none of them. It's not linear. It's all like you have to take the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Pieces of the puzzle and put them together on your own.
Yeah.
And it's really it's interesting.
It's very mind-bending. It's satisfying when you start to there's a moment in every episode that I've seen so far.
How many episodes of Boogie Pop are already out? 3, 4?
I've seen all 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a moment in the show where at the beginning of the show in the first 5-10 minutes, it's like you're filled with anxiety because you don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, that was
and
me.
And then you hit this point where you start realizing you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right, I'm with it. And then the second episode compounds on top of that, and then the third compounds on top of that. And I don't know. I really like. It was kind of like an adventure in a way. I don't really know. One of the biggest complaints I do have about it is, and maybe it's just because I'm white, but I couldn't keep up with some of the characters. And I had a hard time with the names of the characters and trying to figure out which characters who. Because
they do throw a lot at you.
They throw a lot,
Yeah.
lot at you, and some of the characters look exactly like other characters in the show, with just slightly different hairstyles.
Yeah, the one male student
confused the hell out of me.
He was on a date with a girl, and they looked he looked exactly the same to the other male student, but they all 3 of them looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's just a little change in hairstyle.
And it doesn't help that, kind of diving into episode 1 spoilers here, Boogie Pop is
one of the students.
one of the students.
I mean, it's an episode 1 spoiler
Yeah.
that Boogie Pop possesses a student.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they look exactly the same, but they go by different names. And in the show, the guy just kind of rolls with it. He's like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, which
Everyone kind of rolls
Yeah,
with
everybody's like, man, Boogie Pop?
which I think the reason why everybody rolls with it is because there's certain parts of it that we're not getting
Yeah,
yet.
no,
Which I've come to realize that. And it's still weird. I didn't like how Boogie Pop explained his name. It didn't make any sense to me. He was like, I'm just a bubble that rises to the surface in the face of adversity. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with Boogie Pop. Boogie Pop sounds like a fucking genre of music.
Yeah, it does. Really, Wenzel's point, I thought Boogie Pop, when I heard the name Boogie Pop, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, we're getting more idol anime on the podcast. Finally!
No, when Colt sent in the trailer for it and I saw it, I was like, man, the trailer for it looked very cinematic. It looked eerie. I was like, holy fuck, I'm excited for this. What's the name of it? I looked it up. I was like, fucking Boogiepop. That's badass.
That's the thing. That was one of the things is that that was one of the things I think I don't know when we saw it, but we saw it together. The trailer. I know Colton Winslow had seen it previously, but they showed it to Tanner and I think Pat, maybe you were there as well.
I remember getting the trailer in our group chat.
It was just
Okay.
Wenzel, me, and you. We were
Yeah.
watching Gundam.
Oh, you watched? Yes. Okay. So it was just us three, and we watched the Boogiepop trailer, and shit, I was like, wow, this looks fantastic. The animation style is just out of this world.
Oh, yeah.
I love the designs, but there's something. The audio design is very good. We'll get into all this stuff, I guess, in more detail. But
Yeah.
there's one thing that I've noticed about each episode is that at the very end, there's this weird. Boogiepop comforts me, and I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Like, the character Boogiepop makes me, like, there's so much stress and anxiety built up in every single character, and then Boogiepop comes up, and it just feels like Boogiepop is in control, and I feel like I just want to give my life over the Boogiepop.
That's exactly how I feel, because watching it, I'm like, that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm down with that name. That sounds awesome. Yeah. He's a fucking god of death. His name's Boogiepop. And I mean, yeah, he's in control. He comes up when humanity's facing adversity, and he's going to help you out.
Yeah, basically, Boogiepop only comes... And there's something really mind-blowing and kind of weird and kind of micro about, like, some of the things that it goes over. It's just like, Boogiepop only exists when it needs to exist to save all humanity, but it's all taking place at this tiny high school. But the stakes at which the things that he's fighting, you can tell like everything's at stake. Like in other like high school anime, it tends to be like, is this really going to destroy the world?
Yeah.
But like in the hands of these writers and somehow in the designers and the design of characters and things like that, you suddenly feel like the enemies in Boogiepop are actually dangerous for the world.
There's this one part towards like it's like the middle of the episode where Boogiepop goes, the whole high school's in danger, and then Boogiepop goes, no, the whole world's in danger, and I was just like, oh shit,
Yeah.
no.
But the thing is though is that like every time I see Boogiepop, I feel so comforted, and like I don't know, I just feel like I'm safe in Boogie. I don't know. It's a really weird.
It's really weird.
I was explaining. I don't know. It's just like I just get this wave of comfort. Like, oh, thank God.
No, there's this part at the end of episode 1 where Boogiepop like disappears, and like all of a sudden I was like very anxious. I'm like, oh my God, that's only the first episode. Why the fuck is Boogiepop gone?
yeah. Oh my God.
I think one of the. I'm sorry. I'm really harping on this Boogiepop, but
This is going to be us with like almost every anime we talk about.
But
so
like one
buckle up.
One of the big things about Boogiepop to me that I really enjoy is also is the fact that there is no main character besides Boogiepop himself, and Boogiepop is the main character, and it is sort of like but there's not the focus on Boogiepop, and I think you have to watch the show to really understand why, but there's no main character, and you know, if you do watch the first episode and you're like, who the fuck are these characters? I can't keep up. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Because it's not really so much like Boogiepop is the main character. He's kind of like the thread that connects all these people together.
Yeah.
Because like it explains in the show how Boogiepop is possessing the body of the girl that the main boy in the first episode is like sort of like he was supposed to go on a date with, but she's not aware of it. She just kind of realized there's like gaps in her memory, or like or Boogiepop like whenever he leaves, he fills in those memories with something else.
That's something I liked about Boogiepop too, was that he was like, shit. He was like, man, now she has a guy. I feel bad now.
Yeah.
I thought that was very funny.
And I just like to really like sort of the contrast and like I guess like themes. Maybe themes not the right word, but sort of like you have like a very like on the surface kind of like low stakes, but then you realize how like
oh no, the stakes are super high.
On the surface you realize this is just cool and this is weird. It's like some weird spooky stuff. Then you realize how much is bubbling underneath the surface, and then also just like the contrast and like I guess the tonality of it, but also just like how sort of silly the name Boogiepop comes off, and just like Boogiepop's own costume is sort of jarring. Like they're talking about life and death and the sake of the world, but she's wearing like this purple outfit with a big purple hat, and it looks kind of like I can't take you seriously, but I kind of do at the same time.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Boogiepop himself, herself, itself is also incredibly enigmatic because of the fact that it's like it's a character that's sort of who again is described as a Shinigami, is described as this weird spirit thing, but also kind of describes himself, because he does bubble up to the surface sort of thing, as almost like a collective conscious protection.
Yeah.
Almost like an antivirus in a way that kind of comes about whenever it's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like a force.
Because because Boogiepop manifests itself as a split personality, is how they explain it in like the first episode. And so it's just sort of, I don't know, Boogiepop, I think it's a really cool idea, because we like to, a lot of times we look at, I don't know, I guess spiritual stuff as things as being outside of the human experience, outside of what a human means to be, like kami and gods and like demons and things like that are outside. But I like the fact that they're kind of looking at it as like, oh no, it's all very human. It's just, and it comes from the human. It's just a little bit superhuman in a way. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know. It's very good. I'm a big fan of Boogiepop.
And its name is Boogiepop.
Also, can we talk about the music?
Oh, yeah.
The opening.
Best opening.
I love the opening because I first heard it in the trailer that we watched. It was just, as soon as I heard that or saw that train come around the corner, I was like, wow.
Yeah, something that freaks me out every time I see that fucking train is in the trailer. If for like it's like a second, if you look really closely, you see a girl jump in front of the fucking train. It freaks me out every time I see the train going by, because I'm like, when's that girl gonna fucking jump?
Man.
There's a lot of suicide and violence and gore in this show.
Yeah, which
Tons of it. It's a second thought. It's a catalyst. It's not even an important piece. It's literally just.
There will be like singular frames that pop up in the first episode that is like very gory,
and it's just death.
Yeah.
It's not even seen as stuff. I mean, like in other shows, it's kind of like, if you have a bunch of death, it's very violent. But like in this show, it's like death is just part of the
something
situation.
that happens.
It's an aside, like a lot of series, there's violence and gore. That's sort of the focal point of like the scene, but this is sort of like that's.
It's very secondary.
Yes.
It's very secondary, and I thought that was very interesting. And you were totally right about like some of the music. The way the music is very creepy, and how it highlights some of because the music isn't necessarily dark. I mean, it's dark, but it's like dark. I don't really know.
It's like dark, but also still like, okay, I can jam to this.
It's like a non-threatening dark. So it's sort of like this weird sort of
weird. I guess it's like weird and
it's
kind of
weird,
eerie, like macabre. Just sort of like
it's not uplifting, but it kind of keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. Kind of like the Lavender Town music in Pokemon.
That's kind of creepy.
Which is creepy, but like it's like doo doo doo. Like it doesn't have like a big like boo, Like it's something that like keeps you tense, on your toes, be alert, be aware.
It's alert. It's an alert.
It's not menacing, but
and
it's
like the intro itself is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Like the intro itself is like one of my favorite intros of all time. Hey, guess what? Coming out. Hey,
March.
Let's go to our sponsor, Tanner. What do we got coming up in the next?
Our March Madness this year, we're doing best anime OPs of all time. Google form will be up soon. Definitely nominate your favorite anime openings of all time, and we're going to talk about them on the show. Back to you, Cody.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But
back to you, Cody, in the studio.
Tanner's also in the studio. Pat.
We're separated by a wall.
Yeah. At my studio, we mean a table.
We're in prison. This whole thing's done on prison phones.
Yeah.
Tanner's actually in a plexiglass box that's slowly running out of air.
Yeah, no, there's guards.
Oh my God, he's stabbing him.
That was me knocking on the glass.
That sounded very convincing. Fuck me. What was I saying? Oh, Boogiepop's intro. But its outro is very good too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was the other thing that I really noticed about Boogiepop was that there's a very emotional, like weird. It gives you like every episode of Boogiepop that I've seen so far, including the first one, kind of gives you a what the fuck feeling at the very end.
Yeah.
And then you drop this intro, and it's like down, and it's like this really harsh cut compared to the rest of the show, but it's like not bad at all. It's just really harsh, and you're just like, it's kind of like whiplash. And you're like, what the fuck did I just experience? Boogiepop is an experience.
Yeah,
Boogiepop is an experience.
I don't know if like, and again, we may be talking up the content of the show a little bit more than what it needs to be, because the content's actually very not spicy. I don't know. It's not as spicy as I was expecting.
You do a lot of the work yourself when watching.
Yeah.
So which is like if you're left a lot to your imagination fills in the blocks, and like if you have a very active imagination, it builds even more.
Yeah, but SpongeBob's in my universe.
It's very atmospheric.
But definitely. But the thing is with the episodes, it's like there was stuff that happened in episode 1 that like you would not know, like, okay, what the fuck's going on, but then it's like episode 2, episode 3, or whatever, it's like that whatever happened that caused that situation will be be shown in those future episodes, and it's just like, it's like, fuck, that's what happened.
Like I imagine an anime like this is probably only 12 episodes a season. I don't. It's weird.
12, 13.
Yeah, it's really hard to find like proper number counts, like especially this early in the season. But I don't think a show like this could go for 24 full ass episodes, because by the time you get to episode 24, you're like that scene in fucking Always Sunny where it's like
there is no Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah, yeah, just none of that. It like you would have to have a reference board by that point to like even keep up with it, because even in episode 1, I'm like, oh shit, what the hell is happening?
It definitely. The one thing I said after watching episode 4 was, fuck me, I'm going, after this show ends, I'm going to Wikipedia the hell out of it.
Yeah. It's definitely something that's like, it seems like a very, I don't want to say all or nothing anime, but like, if you like it, you're going to watch all 12 episodes. It's not like you're
going to end the episode. If you don't like it, I would say, if you watch episode 1, I would definitely say watch episode 2. If you don't like episode 2, then just stop.
Yeah,
you're not going to enjoy it for the rest of it.
Yeah, because like if it doesn't, I imagine, as somebody that hasn't watched the second episode, if it doesn't hook you by the second episode, I imagine you're just not going to get hooked.
This is also one of those animes that I feel like if they do it right, I feel like it could be a classic. I think that they could, because a lot of the good classic animes, of course, have a conversation about humanity.
Yeah.
And this particular format that they've got going on, especially after watching episode 4, made me realize just how like complex some of the conversations that are being had in the anime that's not been touched in other much media that I have personally seen before.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend, give it a try if you're into atmospheric anime. See if you like it. If you don't like it past episode 2, just stop watching it. But also understand that it does have it is very good for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's the table thing? Like, I'm going to continue watching it.
Oh yeah, I'm watching every Friday.
Yeah.
Yep. Episode 4. I'm on episode 4. I've watched it every single week since it came out.
Pat, what about you?
I've only seen the first episode, so I'll have to give it time to jump back in and give it a fair shake.
Okay. So that's Boogiepop, and that's all we're talking about.
How long is that? 20 minutes.
Hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
We went over
6 more to go, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And the next anime we're talking about is Psycho Mob 100 Season 2.
Mob Psycho.
Mob Psycho.
Yes. How dare you? Right in front of the podcast.
Look, good thing there's a glass. Good thing there's a glass.
That was really scary.
Better me than the commenters.
That's true.
We're on SoundCloud. It has social media aspects.
But I can't hit trolls online. I can't hit someone who's a foot away from me.
Oh man, we really need another.
This is domestic.
Oh no, Cody and Pat are fighting.
Oh, it's blood!
Oh my god! What the fuck? Oh man, what a disrespectful spank! All right. All right, Pat, take us through Mob Psycho 102.
That's some damn freaks.
Season 2 opens up with Mob out on the case with his mentor, and it's very much sort of like picking up where sort of the themes of the first season left off, and him sort of being coaxed along on these sort of missions. Just sort of like, so he's still kind of being pulled along by his mentor, and he's going back through school and sort of like reassuming daily life, and but a few little interesting things pop up along the way and start his new journey into season 2.
So I want to say this beforehand, having seen the first 2 episodes of Mob Psycho 102, which it comes out on Mondays, I believe.
Yes.
And so there's only 2 episodes out right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you need to watch season 1 to enjoy season 2.
You don't need to.
You don't need to. Like, I don't think. I mean, you need to, because season 1's phenomenal.
Amazing.
But like, if you're like, man, I don't have. I really want to check out Mob, But, just for some reason, you can't watch season 1. I think it's okay to jump into season 2. I do think you lose a few things.
You lose a
good bit.
I don't know. I think you lose some relationship building between characters, but I think that won't really matter.
Well, no, there's certain things, and I can't go into it, that are in season 2 that you would need to watch season 1 to understand. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
but
I feel like there's a few things within the first episode that probably wouldn't be emotionally resonant if he didn't watch the first.
Yeah, no, I mean that's totally true too.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like to me they're kind of doing with Mob Psycho 100 too, kind of like they do between parts of JoJo, where like they kind of relate, but also like you don't need it. Like I'm watching part 5 of JoJo right now. Never seen another part of JoJo.
Like he would be lost if he started on the first
just
episode.
know part 5 is very different than all of part 1 through 4.
Sure, I'm just going from my references.
I think that it would be important for you to watch season 1. It's not. You're not gonna hate it. You're gonna actually love it. And
it's 12 episodes, and again, it's like probably the best anime that came out in 2017 or 2016, whatever year it came out in.
One thing I did want to say with watching episode 1 and episode 2, episode 1 is definitely the beginning of a season episode.
Yes,
it's whereas an episode 1 of a season 1 of a show would typically be explosive nowadays. Episode 1 of a season 2, because it's already established and very good.
It's like easing you back into
it. It eases you back into it, and it's very uncomplicated, and it's still Mob. It's just I think that episode 2 was like episode 2 is when I realized, oh fuck, this is much better.
Yeah,
than season 1.
Yeah, no episode 1 is definitely like the setup, but it's not like you can skip episode 1 and jump, because episode 1 because when Cody said, or somebody in our group chat said that, it's like, yeah, it's very much a setting up the season episode. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's probably going to be like fairly low stakes. I loved episode 1. I loved the relationship Mob built with this girl at school, and I had this emotional reaction to the end of the episode. I'm like, man, that's my boy.
Yeah, no,
Mob.
I loved it whenever he put back together that girl's story.
Yeah,
and it's like, what was it he said? He you should care about the things that matter to you. Or something.
Yeah. It was like a very deep. Like, there's not a lot of Reagan in the episode. Like, it's very much a Mob episode. Like, it's just Mob.
Which, again, like I said, I mean, right now it seems low stakes, but everything that happened in season 1 pretty much sets up for the higher stakes that are going to happen in season 2.
And like you get that in the opening.
Oh yeah,
too. They tease it.
If you notice in the opening, there's a lot of shit in there, and it's like, fuck, I cannot wait.
Yeah, there was like a lot of characters in the opening we haven't seen in the show as of 2 episodes in.
Actually,
some of them have been.
I mean,
here they are, but like it's not like this guy is this guy. You know.
But going to what Tanner said, that the part that I really stood out to me is because the whole plot of the story is that Mob is like building this relationship with a girl who sort of like confessed to him after Mob was sort of like coerced into being like
president,
the student council president like nominee, or like
he was running for it. Yeah.
And like, because she wants to be a writer, but she reveals that she was sort of like put up to like confessing to him by like her friends as like a dare, and she kind of just like kept going along with it. But when Mob goes to like talk to her, like she's kind of like, she found out she wants to be, her friends found out wants to be a writer, kind of tease her for it, and she kind of blows it off and lets them rip up her her story.
It's very like teenager, like, oh, I just wrote that just for like shits and giggles. I really don't care about it.
Yeah.
And then her friends was like, good, well then you won't care if we rip it up.
Yeah.
And then they rip it up, and like I was like, man.
The Mom goes to go. He collects the pieces, and he actually reveals his psychic powers to the girl. Mm-hmm. And I think what really was really resonant about the episode is that Mob sort of realizes that how passive he's been, especially with the first season, and how he's been up to this point, because like he was coerced into being like a student council member.
Yeah.
And he just kind of realized like he wasn't acknowledging his own feelings, so that's what the girl was. She wasn't being honest with how she felt, and it's like that was really emotionally resonant. Just like sticking up for yourself to other people and to yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's always been the problem with Mob, especially in season 1, is that he has no control over his feelings, sort of.
Yeah.
That's why he's always afraid to use his psychic powers, and because of his emotions, because they're intertwined. And if he reaches 100% of a certain emotion, then his powers go out of whack. But in this episode, we see that he can acknowledge his emotions and use his psychic powers, and that's okay.
Yeah. And we're talking about, like, if this, like, sounds boring, you're like, oh, who gives a fuck about emotions in anime? Need to mention, the animation in this show is, like, grade A, beautiful, like, the way they use, talking about colors and stuff, like, if you've, like, there's several scenes from season 1 people point to as, like, some of the best animated scenes of all time.
Well, it's almost like they changed it.
Yeah.
It's like they changed the animation from season 1, season 2, to where it's like, they didn't change it. It's still that mob animation that if you saw season 1, you know what you're getting into, but it's much better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, there's some aspects to it, it's more alive. It feels more lively, and it really does match the show's sort of pace. You could tell their budget was expanded a little bit.
Oh, yeah. They were like, oh, this show's pretty popular.
This went from a passion project that had a lot of work into it to a profitable, like,
proper big budget anime.
Big budget anime with a lot of passion in it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I mean, you can even tell that in the scene where Mob uses his powers to rebuild the book. Like, in like, season 1, that would probably, I mean, it would have been fine or whatever, but in season 2, like, you feel like the individual ripped pieces of paper coming together and, like, forming, and with the wind and, like, the sound design with the animation in the show is just like, okay,
It's really
I'm about
good.
to cry.
Yeah. Like, there's just that whole moment right there. I really felt it.
Yeah, no, I did too. I was like, man,
I felt so bad for Mob because she just said, like, I just did this because of a dare.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
it was like, sorry for the last week, because they'd been going out or whatever for a week, and it really does kind of build off season 1 in a way, where Mom in season 1 is not in touch with his emotions at all. Like, he's very, I don't want to say emotionally distant, just like he doesn't have emotion.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah,
or when he does, he'll
he's
hit the 100%.
He's repressed.
Yeah, very much repressed. But in this show, you kind of see him in the first episode of season 2. Him confronting his emotions, which is very much like a development from season 1. It's like, okay, so we're getting really good character development too. It's not just Mob is still like, oh, Mob doesn't know how to cry when he needs to, or Mob doesn't know when or something like that.
Like Mob can't be angry, Mob can't be happy.
Yeah.
It's like he has to be careful. But now it's like we're seeing that, like, no, he has complete control over his.
And it seems like he's
ability.
opening up.
Yeah,
and you kind of see that in episode 2. There's one part which I won't get into in episode 2, but there is a part in episode 2 where something happens. And like you see his emotions just kind of go freely. It's like, oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, in episode 1, whenever he starts dating that girl for a week, everybody notices, like, Mob, you're really happy. What's going on? And then Reagan's like, it's a girl, isn't it?
Yeah. And Bob's like, oh, I don't know.
And he leaves. Yeah. And then Reagan's like, what? It was so sad.
Yeah. Reagan was like, he does have a girlfriend. It's so funny. Reagan, by the way, like one of the best characters in anime ever. In my opinion,
it's like he's a con man, yet he's also like a really good mentor. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's almost like he believes his own con.
Yeah.
It just feels like he's always unintentionally helping Mob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like also intentionally.
It's sort of this weird, like you said, like he's obviously trying to scam people, but somehow he screws up enough that he actually ends up helping people.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's like he's a con man, but he also does believe in like kindness. He does believe in being kind to people and sort of helping them, but also making a
I don't know if he's a con man. I think he might just think that he's
very much like a Robin Hood, kind of. And it kind of gets touched on in the second episode a little bit more, because again, Reagan's very much not in the first episode besides like the opening part, and we even see that in the opening part where Mob like defeats the enemy or whatever, and Reagan goes, right according to my plan, Mob, now you know how to do this.
Oh wait, that was what was it? Reagan was they were fighting a monster in a field.
Yeah, so they were fighting.
He wanted payment, but all he asked was, "You give me your harvest."
Yeah,
and he ended up they ended up not doing that, so he had to just give him like little plants or seeds and stuff to grow, which I thought was very nice.
It was very nice, and then like it shows on later on him planting the seeds in his office, like we're gonna grow a garden.
Yeah,
and like Mob makes the plants grow immediately, and Reagan's like, "Oh my god, this is $1 million idea." And then he eats the tomato, and he's like, "There's no umami or no
flavor."
Yeah, no flavor.
So he's like, "Mob, take this home."
Yeah, it's like, "Mob, you take this." And for some reason, it was like done in an 8-bit style. That scene, like the very end, where it's like 0% flavor, and Reagan just kind of walks off, but it was done in 8-bit. I thought it was like It's like, huh? I don't remember that in season 1.
Oh no, that wasn't something done. It was just I
guess it was just very random. That it was just like
it's
probably for effect.
It's for effect, but it's also kind of goes on that like what I was saying earlier about how the art style is starting to match the playfulness of the show.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you can see that in the opening too, because the opening is acid trip.
It is
Holy
good.
shit.
I mean, I personally like the first season's opening a little better music wise.
Yeah,
but visually, very
this
much
one blows
Oh
out the
yeah.
water.
Like the intensity of everything that's happening in it.
It's a whole lot going on.
Yeah, which hints.
Yeah, I mean there is a lot of hits in just the opening where it's like, oh, okay. Like even if you're not observant in that, like kind of like me, I'm like, I can see stuff that's gonna happen.
I know a lot of people are shitting, and this just goes into the genre because if you know Mob is basically. He's a psychic power kid that like literally just
he's overpowered.
He never loses basically.
Yeah,
he never loses. And the same thing with One Punch Man. If you watch Slime, there's a lot of and what's the
Sopranos.
other one? What's that one anime where it's the Overlord is another one where it's just like OP character that does not lose sort of mentality.
Yeah,
Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
but Dragon Ball, there's like
you can't die.
There's losing sequences in it, but like
people will get fucking murked.
Yeah, but then they come back. This is where they just don't lose.
Yeah.
People like shit on it all the time, but it's kind of nice to have an anime where it's just like there is no emotional stakes. It's just sort of fun.
Or like the stakes are put in a different place. Like like with One Punch Man, like none of us are like concerned like, oh, is Saitama gonna lose? It's more like you're more like concerned about the setting and like the other people involved because they're the ones that's very much in danger of like losing or being hurt.
Yeah.
And he's sort of like just as a force that kind of comes in, or he happens to be held up at a different point. That's kind of how like Mob is. Like we know Mob's gonna like beat the bad guy, but his struggles doesn't come from the fight. It's more so his emotions and all the things.
Yeah, it's an internal struggle, definitely, because again, One Punch Man and Mob are written by the same person.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then in the other ones, I also like the fact that they could just play around with it and see what they could do. Because, like, when you do have an unbeatable person with a good heart, how does that actually play and affect the world around you? And something like, if you ever watch, again, it was a fall anime, but Slime, everyone needs to go here and watch it. No one in this room has caught up except for me. So I highly recommend anyone listening to this to go watch That Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime.
I will say, the difference between One Punch Man and Mob Psycho so far is, in One Punch Man, he is shown as One Punch Man. He can beat any enemy in one punch. Mob technically hasn't been shown as unbeatable. Mob does not have a match. It's not explicitly said in the show in season 1 or in season 2 that like, okay, Mob can fucking murk everyone. It's just his Esper powers are so much beyond what we have seen so far. We don't know if Mob has a match or not. Whereas in One Punch Man, it is very much established. First episode, hey, he can beat any enemy in one punch.
Yeah, and like Pat said, with One Punch Man, you're definitely focusing more on. I mean, of course, you're focused on Saitama, but you're focusing more on the other heroes because it's like they are nowhere near as invincible as Saitama. So it's like it's very worrying. And with Mob, it's different. Yeah, because we don't know. And then there are other people who abilities are up to Mob's as well. Yeah, which is interesting.
For sure.
I just like these anime because I don't feel like I'm gonna die.
Like I'm not like. Well, I say I'm not a huge stress ball. There's a moment towards the end of season 1 with we won't get into season 1 spoilers here, but like with Reagan where it's like, oh my god, and
they fucking do. Man, y'all gotta watch season 1.
Yeah, okay. I take back what I said earlier. Everybody needs to watch season 1, but if you want to dive in, you can jump into season 2. But I highly recommend season 1 because
it's so good.
It's one of the best 12 episode runs of an anime this decade, I would say.
And I promise you will be surprised by just like not in terms of like just in terms of like animation and story, but also like I was like me personally, I was very surprised by how in different ways how emotional I got during the course of the show. And I'm not really one that gets like super emotional with anime, but there's one episode in particular that really touched me, and I was very surprised.
Yeah. Mob is like it's a roller coaster.
I mean, I'm not giving spoilers, but when we do our best anime of the decade at the end of the year, there's going to be more Mob talk. I'm just going to say
no spoilers, but maybe Reagan likes dogs.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, he loves dogs.
Oh man! So I think it's safe to say we're all going to continue watching Mob Psycho 102.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah.
Guess what time it is?
40 minutes.
3:21.
40 minutes.
All right, Pat. Anime 3. Let's go.
We're spending about 20 minutes on average.
You know, they're good. They're all good. I mean, we seriously believe this is by far the strongest slate of anime we have had since we've been doing these anime reviews. So
our third anime is Promised Neverland.
Woo.
And it centers principally around three children, Emma, Norman, and Ray, who live with several other children age range between 5 years old and 11 years old, and they all live in a group home. It's set in this
Gracefield House.
Greenfield House, and they set in this idyllic pasture land, and they live a pretty pristine life. But what begins to turn expectations is because you notice there are two ironclad rules. They can never approach the gate at the front of the property or the fence at the back of the property, and every single child has a number tattooed on the left side of their neck.
Yeah. Whenever it's all nice, it's an orphanage, all the children, none of them are related. They all have one parent who's not actually their mother, but they all call her mom, and they live out, like you said, in this pasture, beautiful, gorgeous area. And it's like they have numbers tattooed on the side of their necks, and they have a gate keeping them inside of the area, and it's just like, wonder what's going on.
There's nothing bad that could happen with any of those words.
Okay. Tell you right now, the spoilers in this conversation are pretty just for the first episode.
Yeah.
Are very I don't say intense. They're dark and intense, but I would say that if you have any interest in watching this show, you might want to watch episode 1 before listening to this.
To this part, yeah.
I would definitely.
The spoilers we're about to give it completely shifts the tone and expectation of the show.
Yeah, so I definitely would recommend going and watching this episode before listening to this next part. We'll count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so when Patrick Starr showed up,
Okay, whenever I saw in the chat, somebody was like, "Oh man, Promised Neverland's so beautiful, it's so good," and then everybody says, "Oh fuck no!" I was like, "Yes, they made it."
It was literally like I think 3 of us in the chat were watching it at the same time, like
Yeah.
completely independent, and we're like, "Man, Promised Neverland's like really, really nice," and then we all had to get to the very end within like 20 minutes of each other, and it was like, fuck this! What the fuck?
It got dark.
I was so excited
fast.
and happy because I've been meaning to talk about the Promised Neverland, and it's just like, man, those kids, you are in for a ride.
Well, Wendell, how about you tell us the twist of the end of episode 1 that kind of...
All right, so these kids, they're orphans, right? So they're in an orphanage. So that means they have to get adopted at some point. So at certain ages, certain kids get adopted and they leave, and then they're just never, seen again. They're probably living off their new family. One of the girls, she's 5 years old. Her name's Connie. She leaves that night. Emma, Norman, they're sitting there and they see that she left one of her toys behind. So they're like, okay, let's go take her toy up there because there's still time. So they go up there. They're looking for her. There's a truck at the gate. Remember, they're not supposed to approach the gate. Mm-hmm. So they're up there. There's a truck, and they're like, where is she? So they're looking around, and then they look in the back of the truck, and to their horror, they see Connie is dead. A little 5-year-old girl is dead with a flower sticking out of her chest.
Yep.
It's just... damn. And then after that, they hear noises, so they have to go and hide. And when they go and hide, they see who's there to pick her up, and it's giant monsters that immediately pick her up and put her into a vat that completely disintegrates her clothes. And they talk about how they're going to eat her.
Yeah.
And they talk about how certain parts of her body are delicacies, that they need the brain and they need the fingertips.
The monsters picking her up can't eat her because she is like a rich person's meal.
Yeah, pretty much. They can't afford her, they're not allowed to. And yeah, so the orphanage is it's a farm.
Yeah. And then we learn at the end of the episode, the monsters go, okay, we need to start getting these high score kids, in which the high score kids are the 3, Emma, Ray, and Norman. They're the kids that have scores 100 on all their tests. Mm-hmm. They're the 3 smartest kids, and they're like looking down the clipboard, and you see the clipboard, and it has all their corresponding numbers with their scores, and I guess like how good eating material they are, or whatever,
or just like their identification, because none of their names are on there. It's just their like ID.
It's just the numbers, yeah,
and like their score from the test. Because because like the whole testing scene, that was like their first indication that something's not right.
Yeah.
Because
just the way it was shot, like it wasn't necessarily weird, but it was shot.
It was futuristic.
Yeah.
It was futuristic and it was intense because you're not giving any indication of what time period this takes place at because there's no. I mean, there's lights, but it's like it's candlelight, and it's like there's no technology whatsoever other than beds.
It's just like an old like boarding house because like the caretaker, she's dressed in like a black dress and apron. You think like this is like I don't know, like Little House on Prairie, like 1800s, but then it's a hard cut to like this classroom where like they have just like these touch screens and they're like styluses and they're writing on their little tablets, and then that's how they're tested daily.
Yeah,
it's like late 19th century. In the passive parts of it, it's late 19th century, but in certain aspects of it, it's like 2030s or like 2050s, you know, like technology. It's not too far away from what we have, but just far enough away to where it's just like, fuck, this is weird.
And then obviously there's fucking monsters.
Yeah, which I remember reading the manga and I was like, okay, but then like seeing the test, I was like, okay, this is taking a weird turn because it's very intense, them taking those tests, and it's just, man, you are, all I can say is you guys are in for something.
Yeah,
it's oh god, hell yeah.
I'm excited for it. I think it's spooky in the sense that you do have these 12-year-olds that are having to solve this problem and deal with the situation they're in because like they're like, fuck, how do we get out of the situation?
Yeah.
Which right off the bat too, we're also shown after they're taking the test, you get to see that Ray, Norman, and Emma are easily the three smartest kids,
and they each have like a area of expertise.
It's literally Team 7.
Yeah, I mean it's the big three. Yeah, exactly. Because this is a Shonen Jump manga anime. Yeah. And
I'm just waiting for one of their eyes to change color and just start fucking shit up.
If anybody's gonna be the Sasuke, it's gonna be Ray because he got
Sasuke, you've got Sakura as Norman, and you've got Emma as Naruto. Yeah, I mean it's Team 7.
Yep, no, it's definitely very much follows the big three shonen formula, like very much, but it. Unlike, I guess, your big budget shonen stuff, it's very eerie.
Unlike your normal Shonen Jump, it's eerie, it's creepy, and you have the main protagonist is a girl.
Yeah, it's not a action series. It's very much horror, suspense.
Yeah,
it's definitely like it subverts expectation from the get go. Like you're not gonna see like anybody start like punching the monsters,
like outrageous fight scenes.
I don't know.
I mean, there have been plenty of anime like shonen series that sort of like they started off as one thing and then they fell into the typical shonen where there's big fights.
I'm just like, I ain't gonna be surprised if I see some fucking magic.
I was thinking of Max.
Ooh, man.
I mean,
here's
imagine the three getting into Max.
True,
fighting demons.
Here's my thing. So the Promised Neverland, I assume, just talks about the outside world.
Like the title?
Yeah, like the title of the show is like, that's towards the end of the episode. They're like, okay, we need to get the fuck out of here because I don't want to be eaten. These 11-year-olds. And so like that's the end of the first episode, and they're just like talking and like, yeah, we need to get out of here, assuming to the Promised Neverland. My question so much is the outside world just more fucking monsters?
You'll just have to wait and see.
That's something that they have to consider.
Yeah, like I feel like we'll get into it. Is there a second episode out yet?
Yeah,
I've
already seen it.
Okay, so it feels very much like I was asking myself a lot of questions at the end because again I knew nothing about this. I just knew Wenzel really liked it because he read the manga, so I was like, okay, I'm excited.
It pulls
for
you
it.
in.
Yeah, immediately. Like I was pulled in before the big twist. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is a very cutesy. Oh, what the hell is this? And I was very. I don't want to say.
It was so because they started with dropping breadcrumbs. They were like, everyone who leaves, they said they're going to send letters back, but they never do. And the little girl's like, don't worry, I will always send letters, and I've got this bunny in my hands. Yeah. And then she's like, bye, and then they accidentally leave the bunny behind, and then the kids are like, oh my god, she lost her bunny. Oh fuck, there's the gate. We'll get yelled at later. Yeah. And then goes to run in, and then fucking dead and monsters, and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it's just
That's why no one sends letters.
Yeah, because they're all dead.
They're all dead in the stomachs of some monster.
Yeah,
and I like the shot at the very end whenever it's like Norman and Emma are like trying to they're talking about what they need to do next, and then it just immediately like the music, and then it cuts to to Mom, and she's holding the bunny, and she just dead cold fucking stare.
Yeah.
I'm like, that pretty much sets up like what's gonna
The
be.
mom is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
It's season 2 or not season 2, episode 2. You start realizing how
It is more scary.
yeah,
really?
it's actually terrifying.
Yeah, no,
reading
reading the manga, it was just I was just on the edge of my seat because I was like, oh
Now,
shit.
I was edging.
Wenzel, I want to ask you this, and I don't want any. Is it still a continuing series, or is it done?
No, it's still going on.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I was wondering.
Right now,
Trying to jump. What the fuck you thinking?
I mean, I know, but
It's
like
got another 6 years on it.
this is the next One Piece. It's
We're-
going to be 1,000 episodes.
Well, it's funny you say that because I know the manga's been out in the States for a little bit, but I think I remember reading that the three most popular manga in Jump right now, in Japan at least, is One Piece, of course, My Hero, and number 3 is Promised Neverland.
Oh yeah,
That's
interesting.
I believe it.
super
yeah.
popular. Yeah, I'm collecting the volumes right now. Right now, the only ones that are out in America is volume up to volume 7,
Yeah.
and volume 8 comes out next month. So I'm very excited.
Like this is very much something like I'm going to watch this first season. I'm going to be like, I got to know what happens to these kids.
Or, which is a great segue into that Shonen Jump has released a new app that you get the first the latest 3 chapters of every manga they release for free, and if you pay $2 a month, you get unlimited access to every single series that they have released.
$2 a month?
I remember reading about that too. Like that very much seems like because it's a mobile app, right? Like
Yeah.
I can get it on my phone.
Well, I mean, it's supplemental. I think that they may have taken a hit. I think they may have taken somewhat of a hit due to the digital age and people pirating manga and things like that. I think that this is them saying, "Hey, look, here's an option for you."
This is their way of controlling it.
It's not necessarily controlling it, but kind of like a hand of like, okay, here's
Them at least getting their cut of the pie.
yeah,
with
to
$2 a
somewhat.
month.
Yeah, it's like it's cheap, because I think that a lot of people still see manga and see Shonen Jump as something to buy physically. I mean, bookstores in Japan are doing way better than the bookstores here.
Oh, yeah.
Bookstores there are still up and going, whereas bookstores here we've lost several books a million. A lot of bookstores
Rest in
aren't doing
peace.
so well because we're not. It's not that we don't prize physical. We do prize physical copies.
We just don't know how to read.
Well, I think we have. I think that reading might be on the decline. But I think the big reason is just that we're like, we love physical books, but God, I can just have my Kindle with me and have thousands of books that I'll never read.
Who the fuck says that? If you're listening to this and you fucking say that,
I don't blame
All
you.
right.
I want a Kindle just so I could have it.
Yeah, it was weird. As soon as Patrick was talking about the app, I was like, damn, that seems like a good excuse to buy like a $70
Yeah.
Kindle.
no, it's fine if you can.
I mean, I'm very much like, and I've talked about it on the show before. I'm very much a physical media nerd. Like,
Me
I
too.
want to hold everything I own.
yeah.
The big thing about manga though is it's expensive.
It's
And you
expensive,
read through
yeah.
that in like 30 minutes, and that's $10 for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And
That's
plus,
a
like,
lot.
it's just
That's $3 a minute. Wait, hold on. That's $1 every 3 minutes.
and plus, it just with manga, most of them are going to be rather long running series. So like, you have to be very, choosy about which series you follow. And, like,
Yeah.
as much as I would love to buy, like My Hero and some of the other series I really enjoy, I know I'm just not going to have the space anymore. And plus, I'm not going to have the money. Like, I have boxes full of manga, in storage. My income is a little bit different these days.
Yeah.
It's not 100% disposable anymore. But like, I think that this app really helps. We're not being paid by Shonen Jump, but
I think it's definitely something that I'm willing to look into.
Yeah.
And I wish that more publishing companies, or at least I would love for someone like Crunchyroll has manga options.
Yeah.
I wish they would expand that and make it into like actual like syndicating a lot of different manga as well. Why are we talking about manga about this? Who knows?
Well, I think it is a good. Because I asked Winslow a question about manga, but also I think it does raise a good point that like things are starting to shift a little bit. Like again, Promised Neverland is fairly new. I mean, it would have to be. So like the fact that that's already in the top 3 and like My Hero's in the top. I mean, there was years and years and years, the only thing in the top 3 was One Piece and Naruto and Bleach. So, like, it's nice to see, like, new series getting the spotlight, especially, I mean, if you've listened to any of our anime episodes or any episodes we've done in general, we all love My Hero. Like, Patrick and I and Colt to an extent, or, like, we love One Piece. So, like, it's cool that new shows are starting to get in there. Like, yes, One Piece is, like, the old guard, but I am glad that there are new shows starting to
take their place.
Like, it's just, like, it's not like Shonen sitting there and it's like, man, we're never going to have anything as good as Naruto.
Yeah.
Ever again. Fuck.
And we talked about Neverland not having mechs, but for fuck's sake, we never thought Naruto would have mechs. But then Sasuke comes out with Susanoo, and he's fucking.
Fair point. And also, if you watch those first 100 episodes of Naruto, and then you watch the last 3 episodes of Shippuden, they become gods at the end. Like, it's very much the Shonen effect. That's like, we are going to destroy the moon.
It's like what is Ramen going to resemble when it's in its end stages of its series? Like, I imagine it's just gonna be far in left field.
Dude, we should do it. We should do a podcast episode where we watch the first 10 episodes of Bleach and the last 10 episodes of Bleach. First 10 episodes.
Be fucking sad.
What a weird thing.
And just to talk about how it's changed for time and how fucking crazy it is.
I feel like One Piece would even be a better show to do that with, because in One Piece it's like, hey, we're normal people.
Yeah, but
and fruit gives us magic powers.
All 700 episodes are over the course of
It's 900 now.
Oh,
yeah, it was 700 3 years ago.
Yeah.
What the shit?
They're in the 900s.
Okay, all 900 episodes only take place over the course of a week in the show. So.
Yeah, no, that's true. Actually, I think in One Piece time, out of the 900 episodes, I think it takes the place over 4 years. There's a time skip in the show. I think the first arc takes 2 years.
There's a 2-year time skip. So, but the first half of One Piece takes place in under 2 years.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because, decades. But that's comic book time. It's always weird.
Yeah. Promise Neverland, though. Everybody go watch it. It's really freaking good.
Opening's really good.
The opening's, again, really good. Very strong season for openings.
Oh, yeah.
By the way. Like, I am not going to be mad if somebody, jumps into the AYCH Best Anime OPs of All Time nomination doc and is like, hey, I'm nominating the Mob Psycho 102 opening. You know what? Do you? I'm fine with it. But I'm definitely going to keep up with the show again. So
yeah,
keeping
up with it.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Guess what time we're at now?
3:38.
55 minutes.
Holy shit! Okay,
Oh, nice.
We're making good time.
56 minutes.
Cody just keeps 57 minutes.
The next anime is My Roommate is a Cat. It follows the story of a young, prolific writer who recently lost his parents to a car accident, and him adjusting to his new life. I guess not really. He's an orphan, but
he's an author.
He's an author, but he's not really a child. But he's not.
He's an adult.
Yeah.
So his new life.
Well, yeah, it's not necessarily said in the shows like this man's in his 30s. Like he's like a young prodigy from what I can gather.
Mm.
So he's adjusting to his new life and a new addition to his life.
Yeah.
It's a fucking cat.
It's a cat. So when we talk about low stake animes, this is
low as hell.
I don't know, man. I mean,
I don't know. I was stressed out at points.
That cat's gonna fucking fight ghosts at some point.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of openings again,
love the
opening
opening.
in this show is fucking good. If you're not gonna watch the show,
I don't remember the opening.
The opening is great. The cat's a detective.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, opening is very good.
Yeah. If you're not gonna watch the show, whatever, watch the fucking opening though.
It was so funny to me because the show opens with Subaru's parents' funeral, and he's just sort of wistfully looking out the window. There's just hard smash cut to the super loud, super peppy intro.
Yeah.
And him just chasing the cat around.
And the cat's tail's bouncing around with the plants.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
No, it's very good.
The cat is drawn like I've never seen a cat drawn before.
Yeah, the cat's drawn.
It's hyper realistic in a weird way.
Yeah, the cat has a very much anime human face, if that makes any sense.
I don't know how to explain it. I'm a big fan of the cat.
Yeah, the cat for best new character 2019.
I mean, the name says it all. My roommate is a cat.
Yeah,
and that's funny too. It's not like I have a pet cat. No, it's my roommate.
My roommate is a cat.
He occupies the same space as
this
me.
cat pays fucking rent. But I mean, like, there's not a ton to say about this show. Like, the first episode is him kind of dealing with
having a cat.
Well, with having a cat, but also like trying to write this new book, and it takes place right after his parents die, and like people are worried about him. His I guess agent is
his editor. His
editor. Yeah, agent, secret agent. His editor is like worried about him and stuff, and it's like
because he's kind of detached. He doesn't like to be around people.
Yeah,
he's very antisocial.
Very annoying in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't like his character at all.
Whenever he was in the, I thought his character was kind of funny.
His character reminded me of Colt.
he's very abrasive, like because his editor meets him at a cafe with like reference material, and he like automatically the Subaru is like, I don't want to be here.
Too many
take
people.
my stuff and go.
Yeah. He's like, thank you for the material,
books.
and then he leaves.
Yeah, and it's just like, wow.
And we should mention his editor is new. We don't know what's happened to his old editor.
His
old editor's sick.
Yeah, he had like gastritis.
Or something. So he has a new editor. So the new editor is just like, and like the people at the publishing company is just like, hey, we can't lose him because he's like our most profitable author, so you just have to like deal with it.
Yeah,
dude.
but he's a lot.
Yeah, just be bored. Dude's a lot. Oh, and by the way, when he's writing a new book, he forgets to eat and sleep, so you might want to go check on him. And they go check on him, and you walk in, and sure enough, he's on the floor just asleep, and like an empty bowl of cat food's by him, and he's like, oh my god, what did I do? And he allegedly ate the whole bowl of cat food in his sleep.
Because like he gets the cat when he goes to take like an offering to his parents' grave, and like the stray cat just jumps up and eats the meat, and he's just so like impressed by the situation, he gets inspired to write his book, and he just takes the cat home with him. But like they said, he's very like he's so focused on writing, he just forgets to like take care of himself. Mm-hmm. And the cat, like halfway through the story, the perspective flips to the cat's perspective, and retells the first half of the story.
The cat has an inner monologue.
It does.
Yeah.
And so the cat basically is just sticking around long enough to repay Subaru for the food it was given or food it received. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, like the cat sort of decides to stick around because like Subaru just can't fend for himself, basically. So like he kept trying to leave him food, and then the guy passes out because he just doesn't take care of himself, and decides like, I'm gonna stick with him because life is hard, and apparently it's a little sad story. The cat lost its like family to starvation, so he decides to stay with Subaru, and Subaru's like, somebody likes me, somebody cares about me. I don't have to be just a stuck up kid all the time.
They're kindred spirits. The cat's his stand. Or maybe he's the cat stand. Oh, that would suck.
It's a mutual.
Yeah, it's very much like, because I was because I thought it was weird at first, like the first half of the episode. I'm like, well, it's weird that this cat, like, this is anime. How is this cat not fucking talking or something?
Yeah.
And then it switches perspective, and while the cat doesn't talk, it has like its own inner thoughts, and like it's Japanese. So, but it's like a human voice inside the cat where it like gives you the cat's perspective, and it kind of goes through the first half of the episode again. And it's like, this is why I did this because of this, and this is why I'm still here. Yeah. And it's nice. Again, it's very, very low stakes anime. So if that's not your style, you will not like this show.
Yeah, the most high stakes was learning that both of their respective families died.
Yeah. So like that's like the sad backstory here. I don't imagine anything surpassing that as far as like emotional
unless
impact.
Somebody knows they're like there's a huge fucking battle.
Yeah, unless this cat really does turn into
y'all
a
think
fucking
they're gonna be
detective.
mechs?
Okay, we need to hear from you. #AYCH mech. Which of these shows you think introduces mechs first? Let us know.
That fucking dog Taro gets in a mech, cat gets in a mech, they fight.
Oh yeah,
it's a giant potato mech because Taro's a root.
Okay.
What? I don't know what dog you're talking about.
There's a dog that starts barking.
Yeah.
It's like a lab, like it was like the next door neighbor's dog.
Oh no.
Yeah. I wish you'd pay attention.
Yeah, Cole, did you even watch it?
This is probably the least.
It's my least favorite.
List.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably say it's also my least favorite because, again, I mean, when I say low stakes, I mean it's like my roommate is a cat. Okay. But I will say, watch the opening at the very least if that doesn't interest you, because the opening is really freaking good.
The part where the cat just starts hitting the typewriter and it's just
the
letters are cats dancing.
It's just cats dancing. Fucking one of the greatest pieces of literature of the 21st century. Easily.
I mean, if this isn't the best opening, I don't fuck.
Yeah,
I don't have ears.
The Neon Genesis what? Yeah, that's what
I thought. Cruel what?
And Cruel Cat's thesis. That's what it is.
Oh my god. Okay. Somebody please do this. Take the animation for My Roommate is a Cat and put Cruel Angel's Thesis over it.
Oh fuck!
Cause man, I'll pay.
Here's another even greater challenge. Take Cruel Angel's Thesis, take that Evangelion intro, put cats in it.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Dude, not even anime cats, like just
like
cats.
really shoddily photoshopped
like
cats, exactly.
early internet cat photos.
Like if I don't see Grumpy Cat and I has Cheeseburgers Cat, like,
And
I'm gonna
the part
fucking
it's like, where it goes into after the intro, and then it goes. And it gets into the din 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 din.
Yeah.
Have keyboard cat just fucking slapping.
Okay, I'm just gonna say the video has to exist. Like I'm sure. Like,
Hold on, I'll Google it.
I'm sure.
We may have to hit pause in a moment.
I like how Cody fumbled his phone getting it.
No, he didn't fumble his phone. He dropped his watch.
I was so excited.
But I will definitely say, give it a shot. Maybe first episode. If you are into sort of that lower stakes anime, like I kind of Cells at Work. Kind of falls into that.
Kind of that and Honda.
Yeah,
Honda-san.
very much Honda-san. Too, where it's like pretty low stakes, but like some
It's
hits
fun.
can hit you. It does exist. I figured it did.
I found. We're gonna hit pause. Real quick.
And we're back. Yeah, I don't know. I guess all of our brains collectively shut down, and we had to watch the cat video.
Yeah, we did.
It was cats and Cruel Angels.
It's not what we were thinking.
Yeah, but our idea's better.
Yeah, Cody's definitely gonna make it for us.
What?
No, our idea is better. So if you can do it, do it.
If you can do it, do it. Not paying at all.
But we'll say, hey,
We're pulling a.
We'll
real,
take credit.
Yeah, we'll take
we'll
credit
steal it.
for it. We'll pull a real Ubisoft Beyond Good and Evil 2. Just give us your art and let us have it for free.
Please.
please,
But yeah, everybody go watch My Roommate is a Cat. Well,
whatever.
your results may vary. But I thought
If you don't like cats, I don't know.
Yeah, if you're not a cat person, you're going to be like, what the fuck? I hope that dog destroys everybody.
There's somebody just my foot underneath the table, and I'm real. Oh my god!
All right,
What do you do,
Patrick, what is our next anime? Why did you kick me? You freak!
There's a cat under the table.
Oh no, another fight!
Oh no! Slapping ass. Gosh, everybody's ass can be sore at the end of this.
I don't know.
You know that scene in SpongeBob where the guy's like, "Made the 7-mile spank train." It's like, that's what we're doing on the podcast.
Do you remember? Do you remember the one bit where SpongeBob's doing something and the back of his pants just opened up like a trunk and you could just see his ass?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, he was getting. Wasn't it like a jellyfish? We need to do a SpongeBob episode one day. Okay, Pat, let's go.
That's a big order.
No, we need to do an episode of SpongeBob where how many times do we see ass?
That's every episode.
Okay. We just get on audio,
like-
say a number, and that's it.
Someone in this group is probably more geared to looking at SpongeBob ass.
So Cody, get on it. We need to know
All
SpongeBob
right.
ass count right now.
I sat through 100 hours of SpongeBob to find as much ass as I could.
I set up this bot to tell me how many hours of ass was in 1,000 hours of SpongeBob.
22.83 is the number. I don't understand that fraction.
Now let's look at the highlight asses.
So as you see, the earliest example of SpongeBob ass is season 1, episode
Okay,
17.
hear me out. Evangelion intro with SpongeBob asses.
I was going to say the SpongeBob thing exists because didn't the person that made like the SpongeBob anime opening use
I think so.
Cruel Angel's Thesis? Okay.
I think so.
Pat, tell us the next anime.
The next anime is Rising of the Shield Hero.
Woo! Pat, give us that synopsis. That synopsis. Yeah, that was close.
So
Okay, Pat, give me that gumbo.
So Rising of the Shield Hero follows the story of a young man named Iwatani Naofumi, who basically is a NEET who gets drawn into a fantasy world, and he is summoned to a world with 3 other young men to fulfill the destiny of the fabled 4 legendary heroes. But each one comes with a weapon, a sword, a spear, a bow, and for Naofumi, a shield. And it follows their sort of travails into this new fantasy world and fantasy setting.
Yeah, the main character is an otaku.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he like does that, and then it's it's weird because when he gets in that world, there's that one dude, and I felt him too. Because there's that one dude that like act like he knew what was going on, which he obviously did know what was going on, but the main character was like, "Don't act like you fucking know."
Yeah.
But he was like, "Don't you see that little thing in the corner?" And it's like literally a fucking you tap on. It's a screen.
Yeah,
it's like a fucking role playing game.
Well, there's a HUD that pops up when they like look at like a little icon in the bottom of their vision. But what Wiz was talking about earlier is that when Naofumi rides in the fantasy world, like there are 3 other guys with him, and they instantly adjust and start making demands like, okay, we're gonna save the world, yeah, we gotta do something for us, scratch our backs. Like,
Yeah,
it's really kind of surprising how quickly they adjust.
Yeah.
I will say before we go more into the plot, if you are going to watch this first episode, it's a double feature length. It's 48 minutes, 47 and a half minutes. It's pretty much the first 2 episodes in one. But
It's very good though.
yeah, it's very good. But just be warned if you're trying to like set time aside for these. It is.
Also be warned that the content is questionable. There is some questionable
Mature content.
content
Not so much
in it,
gore, but like situations.
and it definitely your opinion of the show could skew based on your opinions of things.
Yeah.
Just want to say that out loud. There is some stuff in here that you should be warned about. That it's as we talk through this, we're going to talk about the good parts that we liked, but there was some parts in it that were questionable.
I was like, whoa, and those do kind of get addressed, but just for this first episode, just be warned.
I should go say I watched only 10 minutes of it before coming here. So that's about the only. I got as far as whenever they're like, none of you can be in a party because your weapons can't be near each other, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So
I want to go ahead and start. I thought it would be just another fantasy world sort of online bullshit. We've had so many of them recently that I honestly didn't want to add it to the list.
Yeah, it feels like we're getting like one a season now.
Yeah, but I'm glad we added it. I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
Yep.
It's a lot better. It's a different spin on it. So I did want to mention that so we do have the 4 heroes. The shield hero in particular is everyone shits on him.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck can you do with a shield?
It's like, oh, you must be the dumbass because you got the shield.
Literally, they literally like, you're like the worst character because you have the shield. Like, and the shield is always considered to be the weakest. All 4 characters are from 4 different dimensions of where Japan is at. So there's different dimensions where Japan has done certain things.
Like different, like alternate realities.
Alternate realities of Japan, because they realize that as they're sitting there talking like, oh, I'm from Japan. Oh, I've never heard of that game, and I'm really into video games. It's like, oh, fuck, this because we're all from different dimensions.
They're like, name the best vocal artist last year, and they all 4 named different people. They're like, fuck.
And there's like, I've never heard of that. Who's the president? You know, who won World War II is another question. I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah. But surprise!
Madagascar.
Which we don't get an answer to that question.
Yeah, we don't get a question. I was really wanting to know the answer to that question.
That'd be funny if the answer was Madagascar. Like, what the fuck?
Dude, there's penguins everywhere.
Lemurs.
I'm not going to spoil it, but mechanized lemurs.
Oh my god.
That's the last thing. I told y'all, I think this is the anime we get mechs in. And that's kind of not a joke, I think.
I could fucking. I mean,
you know what? I could see it.
I mean,
whatever.
the way it's set up, it feels like a fucking game, and I'm like, why not?
Yeah, like it feels like we're just gonna get a like.
I mean, if Elder Scrolls can have mechs, then this can have mechs.
I mean,
Dwemer.
They do have mechs.
Yeah, they have fucking
I
robots.
said Dwemer.
We've already seen that like the enemies vary from like huge multi-headed dogs to like balloons. So I could buy mechs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the starting like basic like farming fodder are balloons that bite you.
Basically slimes from Dragon Quest.
So
but sound like kickballs when they're hit.
Yeah, it's weird.
So these 4 heroes, I don't know did you explain the waves?
Yeah, the reason why they were drawn into the world to begin with, because there are periodically the phenomenon called waves. It was basically like these holes up in the sky, and sort of like a deluge, like monsters and fiends, sort of just like
a video game wave.
flood the world. And up until this point, the citizenry and the military that they have has been able to repel it. But at the point, the waves are coming in more frequency and more severity, so they have to call upon these sort of legendary heroes. And when they're addressed before the king, they're sort of given like a whole volley of people to sort of travel with them. And in each of the 3 people, they all get their parties set nobody picks the shield hero except for one girl.
Yes, and that one girl was previously in the the staff heroes lineup, and then she was like, "Well, I'll go with the shield hero," and she kind of shows him the way, and he ends up spending his money on armor and things like that, and he kind of starts to develop, and you think, okay, well, this is the adventure of a guy who has a shield, who becomes a better shieldsman, right? Learns how to use his power and kind of overcomes this stereotype of shitty shield guy.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're looking at the similar anime to any of the other ones that we're talking about, was like where you have a video game character that's sort of a guy thrown into a video game world, and it's like, whoa, it's a different world.
Yeah.
But then it gets a little crazy.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the crazy stuff, I should also mention he can't use any other weapons.
No.
Only the shield.
He can only use the shield. Mm-hmm. So,
and he has no offensive capabilities.
That's kind of bullshit.
But my favorite thing about the shield, though, is you can kill a certain amount of enemies, and it will transform into a special shield.
Yeah, it's different. We see
with special abilities.
Yeah, with special abilities.
Honestly, that's the coolest thing about it.
Yeah.
Because that is not in many games at all, and I really, really want that. It's in Kingdom Hearts.
I was say it reminds me of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, it's in Kingdom Hearts. It's the bursting edge of anime once again. We should mention what I assume Cody was about to get into is sort of that questionable stuff.
Yes.
So if you don't want to listen to that, maybe skip forward a couple minutes. We'll be through it. But
this is a very much an anime that appeals to the male fantasy.
Yes.
to the male fantasy that someone might call a neckbeard fantasy. What ends up happening is him and the girl, they end up going to a tavern, and she's drinking. It gets weird because she's like, "You should drink some," and he's like, "No, I'm not going to drink. I don't drink. It's not who I am. I don't drink." And she's like, "Oh."
But it is interesting because she mentioned, she's like, "Oh, this country is a matriarch."
Yeah.
So refusing a drink with a woman is sin.
It's considered weird. And, and he's like, "I'm still going to refuse because that's just who I am." Well, she has something up to her. Well, he goes to sleep in her room. Then she said, "Well, I'll be up later, and I'll go to my own room and sleep." Well, he wakes up the next morning and all his stuff is gone. And as he goes out the door to try and find her, and be like, "Oh gosh, we've been robbed in the middle of the night," some guards stop him and bring him back to the castle, to which he is then accused of by the girl of raping her, attempting to rape her.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I did not do that." Obviously, he did not. It's obvious in the show that he did not do that as well. That she is lying about it, and it seems that her and the Lance hero or the staff hero are in on it together.
Yeah.
And the king's like, "Well, I can't do anything about it unless these three seem capable, but I can't summon another shield hero unless I kill all of you, unless all you die."
Yeah. And then at that point, the other three are like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah, and the other three, none of them are defending him. None of them say like, "Oh, let's get some more evidence." Like,
it's evident that the bow hero and the sword guy aren't in on it. Like, this is very much a plot between the staff hero and this girl.
Yeah, they just automatically condemn him for this, and he's like, "I didn't do this. I didn't do this. She lied. She's lying. She's lying." And everyone's just like, "Yeah, we don't believe you." And then word spreads that he's a rapist throughout the town. And that's basically where we start to see him kind of changing his attitude of, not only is he the shittiest hero, but he's the shittiest hero that has to deal with these rape accusations.
Yeah. And also before all that, rumors were spreading through town that he didn't know what this country was, as opposed to the other three. So they were like, "Yeah, he's dumb too." Yeah. So. And
so, because they think these heroes are just like, they're of legend, so they should already know. And so now he has to kind of deal with the rumor of him raping her, the situation where he's got all his money stolen, all of his armor stolen, so he's having to kind of work his way up, and now he doesn't have anybody to help him train or know the world.
Yep.
And so basically he has to go on his own. He kind of grinds his way up, gets some armor, and does his best. And
that's when we learn about the shield having all these
different powers.
There is a lot there. We only saw 2 in the first 2 episodes. I think we saw 1 in the first episode.
But there's more but
it looks like there's dozens
of different shield
adaptive
options.
properties of the shield. And one thing I thought was very interesting, after he's sort of been made a pariah by the king and sort of the talk of the town. What's interesting about he realizes he's in a very desperate situation, but he actually starts to like lean into his bad reputation.
Yeah, he becomes a bad boy.
And she's like, okay, well, if I'm just gonna be considered a bad person no matter what,
then I'm gonna
let me
terrify
use
people,
it.
yeah.
So he leverages, like he strong arms like a vendor to give him more money.
Yeah. Well, because the vendor was trying to cheap him out.
Yeah.
Because of like he saw the guy in front of him got, I think it was 2 coppers.
There was 1 copper for 2.
1 copper for 2
things.
for like 2 of the balloon skins, and then he bought I think 20, and he was like, okay, 1 copper. And he's like, I just saw you give that guy 1 copper per 2, and he's like, yeah, prices change, demand changes, and then he essentially opens his cloak, and you see there's like 3 balloons biting him because he has such strong defense. He doesn't feel just these low enemies biting him, and he like puts the vendor's head in there and is like, all right, if you're not going to give it to me, they're just going to fucking chomp you up. And he's like, okay, I'll give you a fair price. And that's kind of how he like has to strong arm his way through.
And no one really wants to. No one wants to stop him, and he's pissed off because he can't go home unless he finishes the job, and
or dies.
Yeah, or
Which
dies.
I don't even know if he's gonna go home if he dies.
Yeah, if he dies, he won't go home. But the only way he can, because he just killed himself.
Yeah.
The only way he can go home is if he finishes the task, and so he's having to fight for this world who doesn't even want him there, and he's having to deal with these accusations. He's having to find his own way, and through all this, he ends up coming across this little man who seems to be just kind of conniving and kind of
like got a shady look about
very
him.
shady guy.
First off, sunglasses at night. What the fuck?
He's like, I know you could use. Come back with me. And he brings him to this little tent, and there's all these crates, and inside these crates are slaves.
Yes.
And they are enslaved creatures.
Like non-human slaves. Like beasts or like semi-human Asian relations. It's like, hey, we know you're trying. Like, I know you're trying to save the world. You need help, so let me offer you some slaves.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like he's obviously like, I don't like this, but I'm gonna play along to fish information. Yeah. He leads him through, and the episode ends with him in front of the cage of like an animal girl. She has like a tail.
I think it's Fox.
It's definitely very creepy.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I said this was kind of plays into that whole male fantasy thing of like lack of
not male, definitely
not male. The toxic masculinity and the toxic male like neckbeard fantasy of like the girl turned on me and it wasn't my fault, that sort of thing. There is some of that goes on. The anime is very much like there are some problematic elements to it.
Yeah.
But there is some promise to the other portions of it, and I'm not sure if those problematic elements will come back up.
Yeah, because just a spoiler, they don't come up again in episode 2.
They don't.
Like it's not mentioned. Like it seems like to me, and again, I can only speak from this perspective of seeing these first 2 episodes, but it seems like to me they really wanted to set themselves apart from, because I mean creators now realize like fuck, there's a lot of these anime trying to do this like RPG shit. So I think they really wanted to set it off and not just have this happy-go-lucky main character. So I feel like that's maybe where and I could be wrong. It could end up being utter horse shit, and they just kind of like, okay, we see people are liking this creepy shit. Let's just go more deep and it becomes like a Goblin Slayer scenario where it's like, okay, that's way too fucking much. Just stop.
Yeah.
And like we don't know yet, but it has a lot of promise. Like watching the first 2 episodes, I really enjoyed it, and again, the stuff isn't mentioned in the second episode at all. Like it's not touched upon, and like there's actually a nice relationship formed there, but won't get into that. But so I understand if you don't want to watch this first episode, but if stuff like that, I don't know if it kind of is like, okay, whatever, it's a cartoon or whatever
your threshold for like things like that is, it's different for every person, and that's valid. Just if sort of the I guess the darker aspects of the show or something you feel like you can stomach, by all means give it a shot. Yeah, because I do think it has a lot of promise. The wave aspect of it adds like a whole different element
because they know exactly when it's going to happen.
Yeah, like there's these big hourglasses. Yeah, thank you. I wanted to say sand towers. There's these big hourglasses in like the towns that tell them when the next wave is coming, and there's already been one wave before the heroes got there that they barely survived. They're like, we got to summon these fucking 4 cardinal heroes. So I do think there's a lot of interesting things in this show like that you don't get. Like it's not just I have to level up because if I don't level up, I'm gonna die. Which there is some of that in there too. But it's also very much like it's deeper than just this. Like the main character also isn't an idiot where he's like, oh man. This is a role-playing game, just like Final Fantasy VII. Like, this guy is like, okay, I'm in it, and I can fucking die. I need to, like, fuck this Final Fantasy Dragon Quest bullshit. This is me in real life right now.
It's definitely played for more drama.
Yeah, and it definitely makes... It's a more complicated character than the others.
Yeah, this character is very layered.
Yeah, which is not much you could say for fucking Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
They have guns now.
I know, and they still make...
There's like 7 seasons?
He still fell in love with his sister.
The Sword Art Online is still like air new stuff? I've never seen
there's like been a new season every year or two.
Wow.
And I think we're on season 5.
Wow. So I'm going to keep up with the Rising of the Shield Hero. I'm very interested to see where it goes.
It's definitely sorry, I didn't mean to yawn. Especially within the context of like the complexity of character wise, it's definitely in my top favorites of this season.
Yep.
I definitely want to see where it goes.
Yep. Same.
I love your shield, boy. I love that shield.
Oh, and also I will say this does have the very anime trope of each character's like, oh, my gym's blue. I just so happened I was wearing a blue hoodie that day. Hell yeah. Although I will say the bow hero whose gym and his bow and arrow is yellow is wearing an off green.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird. I guess they didn't want to be, but he has blonde hair. I guess they didn't want to be too obvious with it. Because, like, the Lance hero, red gym, fucking red clothes.
And red hair, I think, right?
No,
he has blonde hair.
Yeah. Okay.
And then our main character, Naofumi, green gym and the shield. Just so happens he's wearing green clothes. And he gets a green cloak later on in the first episode. So, yeah.
All right. Our next anime is Magical Girl Spec-Ops Asuka. And it's it follows the story of a girl named Asuka who's formerly a magical girl who fought in a world war with these magical creatures known as the Desus, and it's sort of like dealing with her her past as sort of like a combatant in this magical war, and her trying to readjust to a civilian life.
I just want to put it out there. She was in middle school.
Is it a Desus or Disass?
No, I think it's Desus.
Oh, okay.
It might be disaster.
I always thought I was reading them as Disass.
Well, I was reading it as Desai, but Desus makes way more sense
because it's like disasters. Like
Desus,
because they've got a lot of like tongue-in-cheek things in
dialysis.
But the kid, all the magical girls, middle schoolers.
I fucking love it though. Let me tell you.
We should also mention these creatures look like stuffed animals.
No, that's the thing is that like it's got all the elements of like a cutesy like transformation anime, anime girl anime, but it's fucking gruesome, dude. It's fucking gruesome as hell. Like it's so good. I love it because like I love transformation girl animes. I love like fucking
Sailor Moon.
The ideas. I don't really like Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon was just.
I hate transformation girl animes.
I like Transformers.
I love Transformers. Besides Sailor Moon,
I hate this thing that kind of popularized the genre that I'm a fan of.
Okay, listen, I like Sailor Moon in theory. In actual watching the show, it's dog trash.
I love that you're like, well, Sailor Moon's a good idea.
It is. It's just the theme song.
Well, that's the 1990s dub. Like, of course, it's gonna look wonky, compared to like if you had just the straight Japanese audio.
Okay, well, have you seen Sailor Moon Crystal? Watch that and get back to me, because I've watched 3 episodes and I was like, no more.
Practically an expert. I will say the first scene in the Magical Girl Spec-Ops Asuka is very much like, fuck yeah, like it shows a transformation and like this music is playing and she just fucking and it's just like, I'm in it.
Yeah, she pulls up.
I mean, a sword sound, I guess.
She pulls up these fucking knuckle knives. I don't know what they're called. They're like
Karambit.
What?
Karambit.
It's
okay.
Basically,
it's a knife.
She fights with this small handheld blade with like a very curved blade and like a little loop to like stick her finger through.
Yeah.
If you played CS:GO, you know what it is.
It honestly. Look, what it basically boils down to is that this is an anime that looks at the trope of magical girls, of transforming girls, and then like has all the elements there, but it's the aftermath.
Yeah.
Like we defeated the monsters, but actually like in the cutesiness, like we think of it as magical girls as cutesy, like fighting the monsters, but it takes that, makes it gruesome, and then gives the main character 5 years later with PTSD.
Yeah. And like it's weird because we see in the scene setting it up, it's like the final battle of the war 3 or 5 years prior, whatever. And it's like there was 9 Magical Girl Spec-Ops to begin with. There's 5 left at this final battle.
4 of them fucking died.
And well, we think 4 of them died.
We see it's the final about Asuka holding the dog tags of. That's the weird thing is like it's a very Magical Girl. It was also like had like military like elements running because like the season opens with like these like 2 soldiers from like the I guess the regular military who are just bloodied up. One guy's missing an arm. There's like an exploded tank at the base of a volcano, and it's like us human we can't do anything. All we have to do is rely on these little girls, and the 5 remaining are kind of various level of like military to Magical Girl, and they fight this lava fetus in a volcano. And then it cuts to like Asuka living like her adjusting to her new school.
Yeah. So like we don't know how many of the Magical Girls are left at this point. We don't know if they all survived, if all 5 of them survived. Like there's a hint that we know at least 2 of them are still alive. One of them.
We see one like the world is very aware of the war and magic and Magical Girls are real.
But nobody knows where any of the Magical Girls are.
Yeah.
Like they're all
like
under.
She even says at the end of the first episode, she goes, most Magical Girls after the Desus or disaster monster crisis, after they were all defeated, now all we do is we go and we fight cartels and the mob.
Yeah. and like she like wanted to get out of the military, and it actually does like a pretty good job of like touching on PTSD and not in like a stupid way. Like it touches on it in a very real way.
Yeah.
That I think is I haven't seen in a lot of shows even, but like in this show it's like done really well.
If you want a very serious, I don't want to say parody, but kind of a riff on a Magical Girl anime, this is for you.
Yeah.
Like, I was surprised. I really, really liked this anime. I was very surprised because it's very militaristic, very, very violent.
It's like very... I don't want to say gratuitous, but because I barely can say that word.
Definitely gratuitous.
Yeah, it's definitely like super bloody.
And it's like it's violence.
I mean, it's one. So she is refusing to actually join back with the military. Mm-hmm. She got out of it. She doesn't want to be a part of it. But the reason why she no longer wants to be a part of it because after the disaster war or the Desus war, whatever. Mm-hmm. After that war happened, she basically tried to come back to real life and things like that, but there was somehow a group of disasters that were still left over. Yeah. And they kidnapped and killed her parents. Yeah. And these teddy bears, she walks into home. She's like, "Mom, Dad, I'm home. Home from high school." Yeah. And walks in the door, and she is like, "Mom, Dad," and then turns around, and then there's like 2 teddy bears, like, "Hello, we're here." And she's like, "What are you guys doing here? What do you want from me?" And they're like, and she's like, "Where's my parents?" It's like, they're fine. Here's a gift. I don't know really what they say.
No, she goes, she's like, "I'll do anything, give them back." And the monster's like, "We'll give them back in pieces," and like opens the gift box and fucking hand and head.
Jesus.
and it's like super bloody, and it's like they're very much like have already started to decompose.
It's they're fucking teddy bears handing over a hand.
A hand and a head. And it's like, what the whole shit? Okay.
Yeah. And that's the reason why she was just like, I can't be a part of this anymore.
And there's even a point where she has like a flashback where she sees like a typical like Japanese mascot giving out a balloon to this little kid, and she's like, "Oh fuck," because these monsters look just like stuffed animals. Yeah. So like it's an interesting riff on like a pretty old trope of like, oh, these Magical Girls, they can transform and do all sorts of shit. But let me tell ya, this is really good. And
I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah. So I'm.
Then at the end of the episode, I should.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
At the end of the episode, there's this unknown like bad guy who is being broken out of. He's being transported, and during transportation, his group of people, whoever he hired, has trying to break him out of that.
Shoots
situation.
a fucking rocket launcher at the
blows up the carrying
the prison
vehicle, transport vehicle, and breaks him out. And then like they take machine guns to the street, and they're just walking down the street. Like Modern Warfare 2 style, going through the airport, just murdering people on the street. And one of Asuka's friends is in the street, and she sees her in the street, and she's about to get shot. And then Asuka's like, "I gotta do this," and she transforms into the Magical Girl and like starts killing everybody that shot people, and then proceeds to.
And it's fucking gruesome.
It's fucking gruesome.
It's gory.
Like, cuts a guy in a whole truck in half with one go.
Yeah.
And then she like just chops the main guys that got broken out of the prison. He just she instead of killing him, she just chops him off at the fucking shin and says like, I'm not gonna kill you. They need information out of you.
Yeah. And it's just like fuck. And like he's like screaming.
He's
it's like gross screams.
Gruesome screams.
Yeah.
Gotta watch episode 2 if you haven't watched episode 2 yet. Episode 2 gets even better, I think, and it solidified that this is going to be a weekly show for me.
Yeah, like this is a very good show that takes these old and like we actually have seen that a couple times this anime season, like these old tropes kind of given a new spin, and it's like, whoa, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
and this is just another example of that. So I mean, this is definitely a weekly show for me as well.
And apparently, there's been a magical girl like the resurgence and like trying to redefine the trope. Like there was a magical girl, I think anime at one point on Crunchyroll, where it's magical girls, but they're all guys.
I believe it.
I like that.
I watched the first and second episode. Not a fan. I'm
all right.
I'm not gonna continue it. It doesn't. It's not for me.
Was it Colt that nominated it?
I didn't nominate. I added it because
Okay.
we needed 7.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thought Colt would be the one to like it the most, and ended up being Cody.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. I will say the scene where they're breaking the guy out of the prison transport vehicle, and I messaged this to everybody. It's fucking frame by frame identical to the breaking out the guy in the prison transport vehicle and Mission Impossible Fallout. I'm telling you, it sounds fucking absurd, but I mean, frame for frame the same. I mean, even the same guns.
Episode 2 has the same thing, but I can't remember what it was.
Shit, I need to watch episode 2.
I mean, like it's not uncommon for animators to kind of reuse like there's a scene in Boruto where Sakura is fighting like the guy that's covered in Sharingan, and it's basically the fight between Winter Soldier and Captain America with their knife fight.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. But it through, I guess maybe because Mission Impossible is still so fresh in my mind, because I mean it's been 6 months since I've seen it or whatever. Like I remembered it. I was like, oh my god, like the same road, the same guns, and I was like, this is fucking bizarre. So yeah, watch it if you like Mission Impossible Fallout. Pat, what is our final anime we're talking about?
Our final anime of the season that we're reviewing is Dororo, which is the latest adaptation of Osamu Tezuka's classic series, which started as a manga in 1967.
Wow. The year before I was born.
Yep.
And takes place in the
1969.
67 would have been the year before 68.
69.
69.
1968 didn't actually exist. 69. They were like, in 67, they were like, gotta jump right to 69, baby.
Oh my god.
What if you went back on Wikipedia and there was no 68?
I wonder if there's just a year of recorded history where just like shit didn't happen and they were like, fuck it, let's skip it.
Yeah, probably. That's
man.
They got to June and were just like, nothing's happened and I don't foresee anything happening. Let's skip.
Yeah, it's like
we're actually living in 2020 right now.
All right, Pat, take us through it.
Dororo takes place in the Sengoku era, which is the Warring States era, like 1400s to the 1600s in Japan, and it starts with the lord of a very deeply impoverished land offers up a deal with demons that they can have anything they want so long as they make him the great ruler of this land. And at this time, his young son is being born, and at the moment of his birth, he is struck by lightning and completely disfigured. He is when he is born, he has no eyes, no nose,
no flesh at all,
no skin, and,
no arms.
And his father, upon seeing this, realizes that his deal has come to pass, and he will receive all the power he wants.
And he was just like, throw it out.
Yeah, I mean, he was really like, throw it away. We gotta have another kid right now.
His wife was like, no, I love it. It's my baby. Get my baby back. He's like, nope, you didn't see anything. It's gone.
Yeah. And like the kid's breathing. Like it's not dead. Like it's like, yeah.
The thing is, though, is that interestingly enough, when the lightning struck, the Buddha statue that was in the corner of the room had its head blown off. Yep. And not the rumor, but the spiritual thing says that the Buddha sacrificed itself to save the life of the baby. So the demons were trying to take the baby, but the
Buddha intervened.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the child is sort of put in a very Moses situation. The child is put onto a boat and set out to drift. And there's an interesting that goes unnamed for the course of the series, but he's known and the product outside as Biwa Hoshi. Basically, it translates to loot priest. It's a blind priest that has a blade in the I guess the handle of his lute. And
which, by the way,
looks
super
awesome.
practical.
Never know.
And it jumps ahead 16 years to another small town where a young child known as Dororo is trying to peddle his wares to a group of unsuspecting townspeople, and the drama picks up from there.
Yeah, basically, I don't really know how to explain it. I guess this guy's just walking through town. Dororo is just this little energetic kid. He's just super all over the place. He's like, oh, buy this. He's always trying to con people out of money. He's very poor. He doesn't have any family. It's obvious.
Like a sweet urchin that's had to live on the streets and had to sort of like
street
con
kid.
survive.
I'm trying to think of who.
Dororo is a female, by the way.
No, male.
No, Dororo is a female.
That's kind of a spoiler.
No, because it's said gender is said in the show at some
Says
point.
he, yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
says
a
he.
female.
Well, somebody says he.
Well, it's a spoilers, but in the final chapter of the original manga, it was revealed that Dororo was a girl the whole time. Dororo was raised to be a boy without ever knowing he was born a girl. So
Yeah, I knew it was weird because like you can very much tell that like the voice actor for Dororo is very like a female, but like everybody's calling her he, so it's like very it's confusing for me because I didn't know any of the history of the show or anything.
But just like a child that young, they're gonna sound kind of
exactly.
I mean, like
interchangeable.
No, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But it's like it was drawn more with feminine characteristics. But I thought that was just a style choice. I didn't think of it. It doesn't really matter.
No, I mean it was something I thought it was. I didn't think it was weird, but it was something I was like, they didn't touch on that in the show. And
Dororo also has sharp teeth as well. I've noticed. If you actually look at his character, he has sharp teeth. I don't know if that's coming up later on. It didn't come up in the first episode.
But
Shark.
In the show, like you see Dororo trying to like push the stuff at like the big like merchant guy who's like, "We let you come with us, and you're trying to steal from me or whatever," and the merchant's like, "Yeah, so fuck off." And I mean, really,
like basically they're mad at Dororo for like muscling in their territory.
Yeah.
They're trying we're trying to con people. You're taking some of our con money.
and they're like, "You're a kid, so it's easier for you." And Dororo's like, "Yeah, fuck you." Like kicks the dude in the balls, runs off, and then eventually the band finds Dororo. Like starts kicking the shit out of Dororo,
But they threatened to rip a puppy in half first.
Yeah. Like Dororo finds a puppy, and that's why Dororo actually stops. And then the dude like picks up the puppy and it's like, "We'll rip this fucking dog in half." And I'm like, if a fucking dog gets ripped in half, I'm stopping it right here. I'm not gonna watch this shit.
Well, the funny thing is that dog's actually like a little Easter egg of an earlier anime adaptation. That they had like a dog that wore a hat known as
hell yeah.
No, Notokun that sort of traveled with them in that adaptation.
Yeah.
So because you can tell because that dog is drawn into very very much in like a classic Tezuka style.
Yeah, it's very different than like the rest of the
animation.
Yeah,
but that's a little like Easter egg for like people who know the other older series.
Oh, that's neat. And then so they're like start kicking the shit out of Dororo after Dororo's like, "Okay, don't hurt the dog. I'll do whatever." Like, and then Dororo's like, "You know what? Fuck you." Throws a rock at the main guy and was like, kick him again, and starts kicking him again. And Dororo's like, "Yeah, fuck this." Throws another rock, and like the guy's eye starts just bleeding, and like the whole half of his face is like, "You know what? We're gonna kill this fucking kid." Takes Dororo's head, dunks it in the water, and then you see
basically drowning the kid.
Yeah, like starts like not like a waterboarding or anything
No.
situation. It's like flat up. I'm going to stick your head, and they're like in a very small creek too, so it's not like Dororo's completely submerged in the water. It's like just their face, and all of a sudden you just see like this. I don't want to say what looks like fake. Looks like a plastic man just like staring off in the distance, and they're like, "Oh, that might not be good if we kill this kid in front of that." And then like they let Dororo's head up, and Dororo's like, "Oh, they're not staring at us."
He was like, they're like, "Hey, don't." He was yelling. He was like, "Hey," he's like, "You don't see anything. You don't see anything," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Dororo's like, "I don't think he's looking at us." And then it switches to the view of the man who's standing up on top of the thing, and he's looking out, and he sees this red thing floating up the river. because the guy's vision, he can only see this red thing. He can't see anything else. Just this red blob coming up the river.
Yeah.
And
off to the corner can see like the other blobs of the other
and they're
people.
white.
Yeah, and they're white.
And they're white blobs, which that's very important.
Yeah.
And so he's like, he's looking at that. What is he looking at? And then suddenly the guy starts taking off his arms, starts taking out, or no, he pulls out his sword. The guy pulls out his sword, and they're like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden the blob in the river turns into this gigantic, mud trash monster.
Yeah.
And starts attacking the guy that's on the bridge. Well, the guy then starts fighting back with a sword, and he ends up dropping his sword, and then he takes off his arm, which is a prosthetic, and he takes off his other arm, which is a prosthetic, and he holds them in his mouth, and he's basically fighting with two nubs that are like swords.
Yeah.
And fighting this giant demonic trash monster.
Yeah.
The whole time he's cutting up the bridge, and doing so, the animation is very good.
Very good animation in this.
Because the monster rides up out of the river after eating the bully men, and it starts to go up on the bridge, and the whole time the man is dodging and weaving as the monster is sort of oozing through the bridge, and he jumps to the riverbank, and the bridge collapses and destroys the monster. And Dororo's like, "Oh, thank you for saving me," but the man is non-responsive to anything that he says or does, and then he kind of gives him a shove, or I think the man he starts reacting, his face falls off. It's a fake face, and you see his skin with fake eyes and fake nose, and his skin regrows over it.
Yeah, and it's assumed that the man is, of course, the baby.
Yeah, it's the baby.
It was the baby.
Yeah. Some very Days of Our Lives shit. But, so, I really liked it. Again, we talked about the animation. The animation in it is great.
Opening.
I love the opening.
Good.
Yeah, the opening's good shit. And, the first episode has that cliffhanger that is okay, I need to watch episode 2 now. It very much is a show you need to immediately start, because it really just was all right.
Episode 2 was better.
Yeah,
Episode 2 was fantastic.
awesome.
I loved episode 2.
And it's very much if you're not hooked after the end of that first episode, probably not going to be the show for you. Maybe give it 2 episodes. I would say give it 2 episodes just because they are short. They're 20 minutes.
Maybe 10.
Give it the whole season.
Because you definitely get more of the story in the second episode. Why he has all these sort of prosthetic features, and how he, person who can't see or hear or talk can fight in a world, because he has this extrasensory perception.
Yeah,
and that's kind of implied with the in the first episode, when you see what the monsters are in red, or all the people represented sort of these weird whitish flames.
Yeah,
because that's also implied with the blind priest in the top of the episode, because he sees the same way. Because he saw a red and a white flame on the man's body when he was a child in the river.
One of the interesting things that ended up happening in the beginning of the episode was the caregiver. I think it was the caregiver that was helping the midwife helping the baby, the half baby be born. What the midwife did was, she was the one who took him down, did the whole Moses, or was it Moses, or
it was Moses.
The basically sent was Joseph. I don't really remember.
Baby Jesus down the river.
Went to go send the baby down the river, and as she does, she's it's very sad. I felt really bad. This demon kind of comes up out of the mud and eats her.
Yeah.
Well, just so happens the traveling lute priest sees it, and and you can actually see in his eyes, you can see he sees the red, he sees the different spirits, he's blind, and he's like, oh, that's what you are, and he pulls out his lute, and it's this cool ass little quick fight scene of him just pulling out the sword and killing the demon, and then he sees the baby, and he walks over to the baby, and that was the end of that scenario. So we don't really know how he plays into it really yet.
Yeah, I also thought it was interesting. The dude kills the monster really easily, and I'm like, man, you could have been 30 seconds earlier and totally saved that woman. Because very much she's in the literally monster crunches down, and then you see him, he's like, oh, okay. It wasn't supposed to be funny, but it's very much
you could have done a little better.
Could have been a little quicker,
because literally the moment she puts the baby into the boat to send him away, a monster comes and eats her.
Yeah, like
it's-
as soon as the baby hits the boat, monster's like, time to munch. Yeah, it fucking crunches her.
What I guess an idea how long I knew the series will be is that in the original manga that the boy, it's not a spoiler, but the boy's name is Hyakimaru, and he has to recover 48 of his body parts because every time he kills a demon, he gets another body part back. Like he killed the trash monster, he got his skin back. But what's interesting is because when his father made the deal with the demons, it's like all 12 of you, I beseech you, because it's going to be basically probably 12 episodes, at least 12 to 13.
Then maybe get a second season.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And but what's interesting is that every time he defeats a demon statue in that hall that his father sort of like made the deal in splits in half.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And don't say anything else, because I just realized what I was about to say was in episode 2. So just go watch.
well, they see the statue split in episode 1.
Yeah, no. The next thing I was going to say was in episode 2, though. I'll tell you afterwards.
But yeah, go. I like it. Again, it's a show that I'm going to keep up with weekly, and I'm pretty much keeping up with all these shows weekly.
And I will say, every show we watch or review today is available on Crunchyroll, except for Dororo, which is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Definitely check that out. But
do we want to say what our top 3 was, or what our favorites?
Sure. Yeah, we can go around. Start, Patrick.
I think my favorite was Promised Neverland, Dororo, and Psycho Mob.
I'm gonna go
Mob Psycho.
I'm gonna say my favorite was Mob Psycho. Obviously, it's established, I guess, is why, and I love the first season so much. So Mob Psycho, Promised Neverland, and I'm gonna say Shield Hero is my 3.
I'm gonna say number 1 Dororo, number 2 Shield Hero, and 3 is Promised Neverland.
Number 1 Mob, number 2 Boogiepop, and number 3 Promised Neverland.
Oh, this one's hard. I'm gonna go with Dororo, Asuka, and then Boogiepop.
Okay. Wow. So, but again, like I said, I like
all these were great. They're all but the cat one are in my
all but the cat.
And my roommate is a cat is still good. It's not like it's bad.
Good.
It's just, again,
literally, this is my anime watch list for the week. Every week, this is what I'm watching. I'm watching on Mondays, Mob Psycho, Slime, and Dororo. Wednesday is Shield Hero. Friday is Magical Girl, Boogiepop, and Neverland. That is literally my current weekly watch.
Good lineup, yeah.
Yeah, so, definitely check out every anime we recommended here today. I think they all deserve at least one episode watch, because, again, My Roommate is a Cat is good. And
just may not be your type of thing.
Yeah, it's a very low stake sort of show.
We tried to pull a nice variety.
Yeah, we try to have a variety. Everything can't just be sometimes you need the cat.
I don't know. Give me more.
Well,
violence.
Thank you everybody for listening to this non-canon file episode of the All You Can Hear podcast. If you're listening to this on Friday, just know that earlier this week we released the Lads reboot Halo. You should go check that out. It was very funny. I remember it being very funny when we recorded it 6 months ago. So go check that out. And then this upcoming Monday, we will be releasing episode 92, which will be, we play Would You Rather. It's a pretty fun psychological look at all the lads and how fucked up a couple of them are. So I definitely say go listen to that.
It's a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
Wendell wasn't even here for
Wendell
it.
wasn't here, but...
I was having a fun time Chattanooga.
Yeah, rest in peace. But
Chattanooga.
So sure. So thank you for listening. As always, check us out on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Podcast, Overcast, Spotify, all those things. Follow us on those services. Leave us a like, a review, a subscription, a rating, all that stuff. Tell us what we're doing good, bad, ugly, neutral.
We do have that suggestion box up.
Yeah, we have the suggestion box up. It will be in the link or in the description of this podcast.
And coming up in a few weeks, we do have the anime March Madness.
Yeah, well, a few weeks. The openings. I want to say the March Madness. I'll have a specific date in a couple of weeks. It will be on the Twitter regardless. But you'll have plenty of time to nominate. You'll probably have about 2 or 3 weeks to nominate, same as the best songs of 2000s last year. But that will all be on our Twitter at AYCH Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, AYCH Podcast. You can follow us on twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear. We're streaming on there. Colt did some Smash Brothers last week. I don't know what what he did this week because it's Friday when this is coming out. I don't know.
I don't even know what I did.
So, but definitely check us out. Follow us on there, and you can follow me, Tanner, on Twitter at Tanner1495.
I am Colt. You can follow me on Twitter at ColtD00. Kill some demons.
Send pictures of anime dogs.
Anime dogs, not ripped in half. Don't send me JoJo anime dogs. I love JoJo, but don't send me them. Please.
If you're a dog in JoJo, you're gonna have a bad time.
Oh yeah.
Oh, does he hate dogs?
No, just every dog does not live.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's a clear indicator that he hates dogs. All right, Wenzel, go ahead.
Go on. Okay. You can follow me on Twitter at Winsy Wilkeen. Follow my art Instagram at World of Winsy. Thank you. Don't fucking do that. No, stop.
You can. You can. My name is Cody. You can follow me at CODDOC11. That is CODDOC11 on Twitter and Instagram. Pat, you're up.
This is Patrick. Thank you for listening. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at John Lost His Name. You can follow my art on Facebook at John Lost His Name Art.
And again, we'll see you on Monday.
Hey, let's do the thing when they break the chopsticks and they're like about to eat.
Itadakimasu!
Yeah, that's it.
Jesus.
I was going to do that